The Sierra this morning, thinking about what we like to refer to as the jewel of California, our Lake Tahoe, with the Caldor fire closing in on South Lake Tahoe, and you can see the smoke up above. With California having lost more than 1 million acres to fire so far this year, it's critical that we make leaders in Washington aware of the crisis California is facing. Congressman Tom McClintock, representing the 4th District of California, joining us now. Good morning to you, Mr. McClintock. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
You're one of our government leaders who invited the president, just invited him to come see the wildfire devastation here for himself. Have you heard back?
No, we haven't. And of course, that's one of the big problems that we have is educating our Eastern colleagues about the importance of aggressive, scientific, active forest management to keep the excess growth from choking off forest, killing it, and then seeing it to succumb to this kind of mega fire.
Okay.
We formed the Forest Service to do a little gardening, to remove excess timber before nature burns it out. We were very successful at that until laws in the 1970s have made that all but impossible. Now nature's taking over again, and nature is a brutal gardener.
So with that, what are you hoping California will gain from having the president come see the destruction firsthand? You had just requested a major disaster declaration for the Caldor fire creeping up on South Lake Tahoe.
Well, we have the emergency declaration now. That frees up federal funds for firefighting, but we also need a disaster declaration, which will free up funds for disaster relief. And that's what we're waiting the governor to do, issue a disaster declaration, and that will start the process for a federal disaster declaration. We've got some families have been homeless now for 3 weeks, and that needs to happen sooner than later.
Okay, let's speak more about those funds and where exactly they could go. Even before the Caldor and Dixie fire zones were evacuated, we had 20,000 restaurants hoping for $7.3 billion in federal stabilization funding. What can we do more for our businesses? What can we have them get from the federal government? We're talking about big business too. Our ski resorts are being threatened. Kirkwood, Heavenly, restaurants as well, as I just mentioned. And not only in the immediate, but in the future, it's going to take some time for them to rebuild beyond the fire season.
Well, they've already been devastated by last year's lockdown orders, which we're now finding had no effect on the spread of the virus, but was absolutely devastating to our local businesses. Now, of course, they're losing a business in the prime period of their tourist season. But worst of all, people don't visit dead forests. And unfortunately, we have allowed our forests to get so mismanaged, so out of control, that we're now seeing the devastation and it being consumed with catastrophic fire. And that's going to affect tourism in our region for years to come.
You had mentioned that you had not heard back from the president after the invitation from yourself and several other of our lawmakers. So what next?
Well, we've got to make the case that there's no substitute for active forest management. Prior to the Forest Service, we used to lose about 4 million acres a year to catastrophic fire. That's how nature does its gardening. It will burn out the excess timber. We formed the Forest Service to actively manage our forests, carry out that excess timber before nature burns it out. And that was very, very effective. We brought the devastation from 4 million acres a year down to a steady 250,000 acres a year until these environmental laws made that active forest management impossible. And now guess what? We lost 4 million acres this year. We're on track to lose even more in California this year. That is not a new normal. That is the old normal returning because we abandoned our forests.
With the 18 some odd wildfires we have burning up and down our state, we have literally sent out the smoke signal to our federal government. We hope that the president sees and responds. Mr. McClintock, Congressman McClintock, thank you so much for trying to draw attention to California and to bring us hope and help and federal leadership for sure. Thank you, sir, for your time this morning. 8:19 is your time.